Hey guys, Down Phoenix here. I decided to do a little video about Metal Gear Solid 5 and Konami and all that mess. Metal Gear Solid 5 releases in just a few days. It's crazy. This game's, been in the process of coming out for a long time. I think it was originally supposed to come out in early 2014 or something like that. It's been delayed multiple times. And obviously we had Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, which was the glorified demo that I'm playing here right now. That was kind of meant to build up some hype and also kind of bide some time for the actual game release. So, as you guys might know, Konami has had a very rough year, and fans of Konami, for that matter, have as well. Now, I'm not going to get into great detail as far as what's happened, but it's kind of started with the whole Silent Hills controversy, where Konami just kind of seemingly out of nowhere decided to cancel the game, even though it seemed like a lot of people were excited for it and there was some good buzz to it. And, what we've seen from PT seemed really promising. But we found out later, of course, that that was just the beginning of that saga. It was really terrible. And then later on, this of course prompted the conversation of Konami apparently abandoning core gaming, console and PC gaming in favor of mobile. And kind of just abandoning gaming as a whole, with their whole announcement of, oh, we're doing all these pachinko machines like Contra and Silent Hills and stuff like that. Castlevania with the big old titties, right? And then we have the whole mess with Kojima Productions and the treatment of Hideo Kojima, as well as all the other Konami employees, for that matter, being treated like utterly shit. And this matter is enraged gamers so much that there's people out there calling to boycott Metal Gear Solid 5. And that's a very good question. That's one I want to kind of answer today. As far as what I'm going to be personally doing, and I can see both sides of the argument, to be honest, because it's just very painful, to deal with this situation, all this drama that we've had from Konami over the past 5-6 months, and really it's still a very big shock to me that it's gotten to this point. Although there have been some few telltale signs that this was coming over the past, I don't know, 3-4 years or so. It seemed like Konami started to make decisions that were really odd. Although, they still were releasing good games and were generally pretty consistent for the most part. They didn't have a lot of crap games, and we didn't have a lot of this negative news. We didn't have various Konami employees speaking out about their treatment and things like that. So, we had very limited resources, to determine that there was something going on. And it wasn't until after the cancellation of Silent Hills that everything started boiling to that. I've been gaming for a very long time, since I was a wee little lad. And when you think of, like, back in the day, whenever, the big console at that time, that was the Nintendo Entertainment System. And Konami was a staple of that system. They were a powerhouse. They had such recognition, with their franchises and their brands. I mean, their cartridges all had a silver label on them. You saw that silver label, you knew that meant it was a Konami game. Obviously, you could see the little Konami logo as well, right? But you knew that was one of their games, and you knew that chances are that game was kick-ass. I mean, there's a couple of exceptions, like The Adventures of Bayou Billy, but for the most part, like, pretty much every game that they released on the NES was cream of the crop. And there's really not a lot of other companies you could say that besides maybe like Nintendo or Capcom or something like that from back then. Konami was one of the top dogs. And they've remained very strong through the years. They've had a very successful lineup of games on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Of course, one of the most celebrated Castlevanias of all time came out on the PC Engine, which was known here as the TurboGrafx 16. It's that game never actually came out on that, but you know what I'm saying. And then, of course, the PlayStation. We kind of seen a little bit of wavering there, but we've also seen some of their greatest games, like This Weekend in Games and Symphony of the Night and stuff like that. So, and then they've always been a very strong game publisher, and it really wasn't until the last few years that we started seeing some struggles with this company. We started seeing some weaker releases and everything like that, and it's really interesting how that's happened, but it's been a problem that's been built on for a very long time. And so that kind of brings us to a really interesting point. This is like a catalyst, all this happening. It's definitely a turning point for Konami, and the decisions that they're going to make over the next 6 months could very well shape the rest of their future. These first 6 months that they've had with this catalyst have not been very good, but Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, could be something that could mark a turning point for the company. Now, I do want to bring up something about that, though. It seems like Konami is still sticking to very rigid and odd decisions, such as their treatment of gaming journalism revolving the review process for the Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Now, you guys have probably seen the game's been getting excellent reviews. Almost, phenomenal reviews. There's only been a handful of games this gaming generation that have received reviews in line with what this has seen so far. Now, that being said, we have to point something out. There has been a lot of controversy revolving the reviews. Apparently, a lot of these gaming review sites have had to review the game basically under Konami's rules. Konami has had a very strict rule of how they were supposed to go about it. And, if they wanted to have a chance to play the game before launch and actually be able to release a review before launch, a lot of these gaming websites, they are built upon advertising revenue. And so they don't really feel there's much of a choice, of course, because they want to try to get their opinions on it as soon as possible, because they know that gets some ad revenue. It's not exactly the most ethical of these sites to do this, of course, especially a lot of them haven't even mentioned it, although I guess that could be partly, again, because of Konami, right? But it's a big fact of the matter, that it seems like, even though Konami does have a chance to turn this around, sadly, there doesn't seem to be a lot showing that they're going to. It seems that they've been very steadfast with this here. But there have been a couple of silver linings, of course, not, just other than the fact that MGS V is reviewing very good. So at least they're still putting out quality games in spite of all this nonsense. Fortunately, all this controversy wasn't to try to bury the game and make people forget about it because it was a bad game or something like that. No, that's apparently not the case at all. There has been this survey that they've been doing. They've been sending out this survey to people. I'll try to put a link in the description to this survey if you guys want to check it out for yourself and take the survey. But basically, they've been asking gamers, what they want to see out of these various franchises. A lot of them are older franchises that people haven't seen in ages. Bear in mind, classic Konami franchises. Or games that have been well known and loved, but haven't seen a lot of love lately. And, it's kind of a good sign, I think. A lot of people would joke about, oh, they're just wanting to see what their next pachinko machine will be. but seriously, it's something interesting to point out here. And, I really didn't know that Konami was already so invested into gambling. I actually went to the casino recently, and we checked out various slot machines, stuff like that, and there was actually a ton of Konami slot machines. I fortunately didn't see any video game related ones. I didn't see, slot machines for Castlevania or Metal Gear Solid or anything like that, anything crazy. So, fortunately, they didn't have anything like that, but a lot of these slot machines were Konami. They're actually really successful in this gambling business. And I guess that kind of has spurred part of their decision. I mean, it is a lot of it is money based. You know, they are a corporation. They're going to try to do what they can to make money. It's just really sad and really terrible that it's came to this. You know, that they've had to have so much drama behind this. I don't know why they couldn't have made the transition a lot smoother. You know, if they really wanted to get out of the gaming industry. And I think that really they kind of owe it to their fans and their staff, especially their former staff that, you know, left the company, like Igarashi, for example, you know, all the other great old Konami legends. So hopefully something like that does happen. But as far as the boycott issue, you know, in general, like the boycott Metal Gear Solid 5 or Konami in general, that's a very tough question to answer. You know, I've kind of looked at it in a couple different ways. You know, like obviously, if you buy Metal Gear Solid 5 brand new, you know, either a physical copy or digital distribution, Konami gets some of that money. I don't know what the exact numbers are. I know usually with retail games, it's usually for a $60 game, they're probably going to get about $30 to $35 of that $60. And then, you know, GameStop or Walmart or Amazon or whoever the retailer is, they're going to get their cut. You know, Sony, Microsoft, etc., they're going to get their cut. And then, you know, obviously they have to spend a few bucks for distribution and, you know, manufacturing, things like that. For a physical copy, they probably get a little bit more. So I really strongly encourage, if you do plan on buying this game, go with a physical copy over a digital copy, unless you absolutely love Konami and you applaud all their decisions that they've had over the past 6 months. And obviously go to the digital copy, right? Obviously, if you're on PC, though, you probably don't have much of a choice but to go digital. I mean, I'm sure there might be some very limited releases of the PC physical box, but I know PC gamers, you know, we don't like to mess with physical games, especially on PC, because you have to do all the installation crap and everything like that, and you oftentimes still have to download stuff on top of it. You know, I mean, a physical PC game is pretty much worthless nowadays. But yeah, for a digital game, it's probably going to be more like roughly $40 to $45 that Konami's actually getting, you know, just depending on what the actual digital cut is going to be. I know usually with Steam it's like 30%, so Valve would get 30, Konami gets 70. So you can kind of figure out the math for that from yourself. You know, that's roughly $40 that they're going to get. So like I said, if you are going to buy the game, you should definitely go with physical over digital. And then of course, if you're not in a hurry to get the game, obviously you could wait until it's used, I suppose. You know, I mean, a lot of people said they're going to do that. And then you can also rent the game from a rental store if you happen to have one, you know, or like a Redbox or something like that. I mean, those games are still being bought and paid for, but Konami's not getting that money, just like with the used copy. But that still gives you the opportunity, obviously, to play the game. But you have to look at it kind of on the other side as well. How would this make them look at us console gamers if we willingly decide to be as petty as to not play a game franchise that we love because of some drama? Now, it's very good justification to not play the franchise. I will certainly say that, but it certainly would kind of send the message to Konami that, hey, maybe we were right in getting out of the console gaming and PC gaming market. It's clear that the fan base is very fickle, and we can't rely on them to maintain a steady profit quota. And we could see this because MGS V didn't sell nearly to our expectations. So yeah, we're going to cut the cord on these people. And obviously, you know, we're going to see other games from people like Kojima and the rest of the Konami staff people, you know, of course. But it could very well mean the end of a lot of classic Konami franchises, you know, games we might never see again. Konami could just decide to hang on to them out of spite and pity. Or not pity, well, I don't know what I'm saying there. They could just hang on to it out of complete spite. And, you know, we might not ever see new Castlevania or Bomberman games ever again. That would be kind of a real bummer. So you do have to kind of ask yourself if that kind of outcome would be worth kind of showing it to Konami by not buying the game or buying it used or something like that. And then on the other hand, if you're going to buy it, you know, you have to think about, well, this is really, I'm supporting Konami. I'm supporting a really terrible gaming company. But really, are you supporting them, or are you supporting the developers, the people behind the game that made the game possible? Konami, after all, just writes the checks. They just provide the financial backing that they need to actually make that vision happen. And that's another very good point as well. Plus, you have to think, I mean, Kojima, as much trouble as he's had, you know, he wants his fans to play this game. He's actually said this publicly, that he wants people to experience his last Metal Gear Solid game, in spite of all the drama that's happened. I don't know if that's just because of a non-disclosure agreement that he signed in order to make sure that he actually gets his payola and doesn't get screwed by the company, or if he, you know, really is just a bigger person than the rest of us, you know, and he just ultimately wants people to enjoy this game. You know, obviously you can still enjoy it if you get it used or you pirate it or something like that, but like I said, it doesn't just send the wrong message to Konami, it also sends the wrong message to people that make that game happen, like Kojima. You know, it kind of tells them, hey, you know, maybe these people, we can't rely on them to buy these games that we pour our hearts and souls into. So maybe I need to look elsewhere for work. You know, maybe I need to find something else to do besides this. Or maybe I need to work on other games that seem to be more profitable, like free-to-play or mobile games, you know. So, you know, if we send the wrong message, we might not just drive Konami to mobile games, we might drive Kojima to mobile games as well. And that would be a really big hit, I would say. So that's something we need to avoid as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and conclude things on my opinion on it here. So from my perspective, it took me a really long time to figure this out. And I'm not really a big MGS guy. I want to be the first person to say this here. And I've never pre-ordered a Metal Gear Solid game before. Never in my life. In fact, I never even really played much of the Metal Gear Solid series, but I have been getting into it over the past 2 months or so. And I actually decided that to pre-order this game. After everything that I thought through and all the analysis that I've had here, I decided, you know what, I know Konami's going to get $30 or so out of this, but I am going to buy this game because I want to send the right message to Konami and to the developers and everything like that, that good work deserves to be rewarded. And so that's what I did. I pre-ordered a game. I'm not regretting it. I am going to get it on launch. If they have a midnight launch, I'll get it then. If not, I'll just wait till the morning, I guess. You know, it kind of depends on how active their pre-orders are. You know, usually GameStop will text me or whatever beforehand. So, because I really want to see this game, you know, I've been interested in the series lately, and it just seems like something that I would want to play, you know. I mean, I don't really care for most stealth games, but at the same time, this one really does have a lot that speaks to me as far as those kind of games go. You know, usually I've been more of a fan of, like, you know, Splinter Cell and games of that nature, and I always thought Metal Gear was kind of backwards or behind the curve on that regard, but it seems like with the later games, you know, they've really kind of spoke to me more. And so I'm really interested to see what would happen with Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm actually interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. So go ahead and leave your comments below. Let me know and let everybody else know if you're going to be buying it or boycotting. And like I said, boycotting can also include piracy or used copy or something like that, just to let you know. But till then, Down Phoenix out.